Okay, well, this is fun. This is our first filming, and I want to welcome you to the Caribbean Edge. My name is Keith Heron.
Shauna Whittingham.
And Dawn Wilson.
Welcome.
And the topic that we're going to go on today is something that's quite current, and something that happened right in our area. So it's pretty close to our hearts, and it has to do with the shooting that happened at, what's the name of the high school?
Marjory, Stoneman, Douglas.
And actually, one of us actually lived directly in the city area of Parkland, which is Shauna. Can you tell us anything about what you heard in your area about the shooting?
Well, as you mentioned, it hit really close to home. My daughters, who are 9 and 11, they're still in elementary school. However, this is their high school. This will be the high school that they'll be going to. So needless to say, there were people in our area, or in our direct neighborhood, or neighbors beside us. They're teachers, both teachers at the school across from us, and to the other side of us. So the children have been impacted. And I think I went back to school today.
Yes.
Today, yeah, right?
I believe they did.
Yeah, so lots to talk about, first-hand experiences, just very traumatic.
All right. Well, what I've noticed is because this has hit close to home, is that a lot of people are getting a lot more involved in community awareness, and a lot of people are also now paying attention to what the kids are saying and exactly how they can get involved with the schools and make everything a little bit safer for them. I don't know from your point of view if you've seen any of this. Or...
Yeah, what do you think about the children and...
Well, I think all the children throughout all the various communities, you don't have to live in Parkland itself to be impacted by this. I think so many people are frustrated with the process, and that our young children have access to guns. And, you know, we all can say we're extremely proud of the children that have taken a stance at Stoneman Douglas. They do have a march planned on March 24th, and I know my daughter is away in college now, and they're all planning to support it, as well as us adults planning to support it as well.
And there have been several marches, actually.
Yes.
So ongoing in Parkland and around South Florida altogether, even outside of the state, right?
Right. And within 9-10 days, the children have made significant impact to get the attention that, you know, guns in our communities deserve.
Yes, serious strides.
Yes, very proud of them.
Yeah, go high schools.
Yeah, actually, I'm very proud of the kids because, you know, I'm a coach at a few high schools in the area, and I've also mentored quite a few kids. I'm also a coach with some of the private clubs. And one of the things is, I never knew just how impactful or how strong these kids could be. You know, because they never showed it. It's normally in their little club or in their little group. So I sort of was a bit drawn back to, oh, I don't know if it's going to be this impactful. Here comes another shooting. And even though it was in home, I was surprised at how the kids took the mantle and went with it. You know, I don't know what your views are, but the shocking thing, before we go on to how the guns got into the kids' hands, just the way they're developing their strength and their organization between each other and how they're reaching out to each other. So I know it's not only one school that has been doing things. You know, I know about the walkout at Cypress Bay, that was pretty big, and other schools had walkouts also. And I want to send a shout out to Scott Neely and what he's doing down there at Cypress Bay. I'm very, very proud of you, and I can't say enough about how proud I am to be a friend of yours, and also just to be in your midst sometime. And the headmaster at Piper and so forth, how they came out and spoke out against this, and I don't want to get to the political part, but I'm just proud of everyone. Yeah, that's another episode. But I'm very proud of everyone stepping forward, and I know they're putting their jobs on the line for some of the kids. So that's one thing that I found very impactful, and I'm very proud of everyone stepping up.
Yeah. What I find really sad and issues that we have to address is I have 2 kids in college myself, and the fact that I'm having these conversations to be aware of their surroundings wherever they go, it's scary. We live in scary times, and we're telling our kids, no, you know, have your exit plan. And so it's not easy conversations, but that's where we are in today's society.
Going to school in our times, we didn't have these drills, no such drill. But I want to go back to why I think this shooting is impactful. I personally believe it's for a number of reasons. We've had one too many. You know, one was enough. However, I think the area that has been impacted, you know, comedians joke about it, but there's some truth, many a truth said in jest, is it's a somewhat affluent area, and these children are demanding answers, and they're not going to stop, and they have the resources. We have celebrities, we have people with a lot of money supporting these children's cause, and it's not even a child's cause, it's life. We're trying to stay alive, and enough is enough. So I think timing, I think the school where it happened, and I just think the attitude of the children who have been impacted, they're not going to stop. I hope they don't stop.
Exactly. Very proud of them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know this is going to evoke probably a lot of thought. So, I see they're trying to make the age that you can get these rifles at, they want to change it. And the thing out there that they're saying is that, well, you know, we can't buy any liquor until we're 21, we get to vote at this time, blah, blah, blah. So, what we're thinking is to make the age 21. I even hear kids who are in college saying, I still don't want some of the people at 21 getting guns,
Right.
you know. And what do you think about that? Do you think it should be moved to 21?
I think it should definitely be moved to 21. I also think not only is it an age factor, it's a maturity factor. As a mom, would I want my 23-year-old with a gun at home? Not necessarily. Because I don't know why he would need a gun. You know, so those are conversations I would definitely have to have with my children, regardless of what age they are, if they live in my home. Their health is important. I also take the rest of the community's health into consideration. If my child has behavioral issues, I would never support him having a gun. So as parents, we are accountable for our children, no matter what age they are. It's not 21 for me.
Right. I'm very opinionated about this particular subject because, as you know, as my friends, I carry.
Yeah.
And I carry for sport.
Is that gun out for people who gun out?
Professional.
I carry for sport, and reluctantly I carry for protection. So my attitude about it is I'm not against guns. However, assault rifles, there's absolutely no need for it in the hands of civilians. We're not at war. We're creating war amongst each other if we can walk in and in a matter of seconds take out you know, almost 20 lives. That, to me, is unacceptable. I don't even think it's an acceptable way to sport, because people argue, well, it's a sporting gun, which is actually why kids can get the gun at such a young age. I think that's a very cruel way to sport, yes, quite frankly.
Well, I have to say the same. I grew up with guns in my dad's house ever since I was born, and I knew what a gun was. And of course, you know, being in Jamaica and stuff, you have a lot of sport shooters who go shooting ducks and wild hogs and birds and so forth. And my dad has had that as well as handguns in the house, and he showed them to us and he let them know it's gun. And I never had the need to touch it, but you never know, you know, different place, different time, different generation, so you never know how it's looked upon. We didn't have the video games that we have now, so we weren't excited about guns in the way that they are, the movies that they have now, and everything that's so explicit now.
Yeah.
We didn't have that when we were growing up. We used to use our imagination. And I know a few of my friends out there right now gonna remember when they used to make board gun and shoot at each other, pew, pew, and so forth. That was it. But now, you can actually get a real gun at the age that we used to play with guns. and they can actually have a real gun at this time, which I don't know if we were in this era. I guess we would want the guns also, and I don't know what your view.
Times change, right? And I want to go back to the video game we were actually talking about earlier and how that molds the mindset of these kids and what might actually be happening. But times are different, and so guns are here. But I think if you, as a responsible parent, as a responsible person, you teach your children gun safety. My father carried, and he taught us how to use it, how to clean it. You understood the dangers of it, so that education is key, not just with the gun owner, but anybody who can remotely have access to it. Because most of the time it's accidents, or usually in a home where people are affected by guns outside of this catastrophe.
Exactly.
I do. So do you think that, now that you brought that up, do you think that video games have probably make them a little bit less sensitive to killing? And
what was the name of the video game you had mentioned to me?
One was Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
And it's just how you have to have a strategy to move along in that game, and you have to pick out certain areas that you could hide from and
have an advantage point.
And it's a kill amount that you need to go forward. And there's quite a few other games that you need that kill amount. And what the kids are actually learning at that point is, what is the best vantage point to get as much kills, with less happening to you. And these are things that it's in their subconscious now. So when they go into a school, or they go into a village, or they go into a building, or they go into a city, they know what the cityscape look like. And if they do want to do any damage, they know better than we do where to go,
right,
just because of these games.
It was in the news today that he was trying to break a window. So we started thinking, why was he, doing that? But the mindset now is like, how can I take out as many people as possible in a short amount of space? It's scary. Times.
I forgot how much that said was in the clip that was at the rounds that he left.
Over 150, I think.
And he intended, of course, he brought it along, so I'm sure he intended to use every single bit of that. That's the scary part.
So let's talk about teachers, arming our teachers. We've seen it all on social media. So one of the concerns is, when the police officers arrive on the scene, how do they identify a teacher?
Brown and black people dumb.
Versus the actual shooter. And then there's the race issue. And then there's the concern that, yes, we have to admit and accept that we do have children that are misbehaving themselves in school, violent, and can, take those guns from the actual teachers. So do we think this is a good way to address the issue, as our president has suggested?
Well, let me tell you something. When I hear the President of the United States of America say that he will give bonuses for the teachers who do carry. Yeah, he didn't even say bonus. He said, I pay them a little bit more. They'll make more. And when he said that, I got nauseous. The teachers are already underpaid.
Yes.
The teachers are already overworked. Mm-hmm. The teachers are losing respect. These are the people who are supposed to be teaching the kids. We're going to be the next generation, the one who are going to take care of us when we're older. And this is what we want to do. We want to lower whatsoever expectations they may have going forward and make it, oh my God, now it's sad. It's sad. Just the thought of it, to give the teachers, put a little bit more burden, a lot more on them. It's horrible.
Let me break it down for you. So I think he actually said bonus. I think he did. I think he offered a bonus. So it's funny. We don't pay the teachers enough. They actually use money out of their own pocket to buy supplies for the classroom. Yet all of a sudden we have more money to pay them if they will take people out. Anyway, so let me explain something as a gun owner. When you have your weapon on you, you are in a different mindset. You have to be careful, you have to be cautious, you have to be ready. It is not a joke, it's a huge responsibility. I run, you know that, almost 3-4 times a week. I have considered running with my weapon, and I've chosen not to, because that is going to change the complete aura of what the reason I'm going running in the first place. So I cannot imagine, as a teacher, you come to school and you're teaching elementary, middle school, high school, and now your focus is, it just changes, in my opinion, it changes the entire dynamic of what you are there for. Not to mention what you said, the kids overpowering the teacher. You know, in my humble opinion, the students will lose respect for the teachers. They're going to simply fear them.
Correct.
Not acceptable.
And then we've seen it also where, you know, lately in the news, the deputy that was at the school waited 4 minutes and did not go in, and the actual length of the shooting was about 6 minutes. So he had a weapon on him, he's trained. Yes, he may have been retired, but he's trained and armed, and he refused to go in. And we're finding out that other deputies arrived on the scene, and they stayed outside as well, where there's an active shooter with innocent people. Now, our president has come out as well and said that he would go in if it was him, even unarmed.
The same one that
The same one.
That's funny.
You know, it goes along with, you know, if we have trained officers that refuse to go into an active shooting, how do you expect your teachers to go through, I believe it's a 3 or 6 month training process, and also, you know, protect our children? It's really issues that are fortunately coming up that we can address and should address, but it's unfortunate that it happened under these circumstances.
What are your views on the officer that didn't go in?
Oh, well, let me tell you quite plainly. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of these officers that they place around the schools. We've seen them every day. And I don't know how much of them are prepared for what they're there for.
Right.
And, you know, I think that, first of all my friends who are officers and so forth, don't take this personally, but I think there has to be a way that you keep yourself in shape, because most of the officers I know are overweight. And, I mean, keep yourself in shape. I mean, I don't know if the community can help them by keeping in shape by saying, hey dude, hey, you need to be in shape or something, and strike them into shape. But for some reason, I don't know if he was mentally, not only physically, but mentally prepared to take that on.
I agree. I think a couple of things there. One, the area, so you're not expecting anything like this, hence why it was such an easy target. And so the officers that are in, had this school been someplace else where there was metal detector, you know, I went to look at a school that my daughter was invited to the magnet program. It's not in the best of areas, and when I tell you they are not taking security lightly by any stretch of the imagination. There are cameras everywhere. As a matter of fact, if you exit this property out of any but one gate, alarms sound. So, you know, I think just mentally, you know, we all have that fight or flight in us. And none of us, we could all sit here and say what we would do and what we wouldn't do. Until that happens, we don't know. Immediately, obviously, he knew it was life or death situation. He made a decision. All of us have it. Fight or flight.
Right.
Well, they seem to be coming on hard on him. And then it's either him or Scott Israel or along the way that somebody didn't do their job. Right? Now, I feel, let's get back to the basic though. Before all this happened, everything that's happening in school. Now, I've seen quite a few kids who they're taught, hey, you don't rat anybody out, you know. You see things happening, just mind your own business. So we have gotten out so far away from the old style of raising kids, where the village would raise the kid, right? If I see your child out of line and say, hey, Miss Mac, you know, I saw your child, you know.
Misbehaved.
Yeah, I saw your child over in somebody's yard the other day, you know, and why you don't mind your own business? And then we start to separate ourselves. So now the concept of raising having a village raise a child is so far gone that right now we have single dads and single moms trying to raise their kids, or in between parenting, trying to raise their kids, and there can be conflict as well as the manipulation of the child and the parents. So who really had a grasp on the totality of exactly what this child is going through? Because a lot of the times if you're working 8 hours plus you have to put in for other things, then you're only going to be with your child probably about, I don't know, it works out to somewhere like even 4 hours is a long time with your kids. That's what is considered a long time, and then you have to go to bed, and then they have to wake up the next day, and you have to prepare them to go to school and so forth, you know. So with that little time, how much of how in tune are you with the child? Yeah. And some days go by where you have extracurricular things to do that you really don't have that conversation. You know, I've seen kids and they're, you know, going to practice or coming back from practice, or while at practice and taking a break or waiting for something else, they're sitting this close to their parent and there is absolutely no conversation because both are on their phone. At dinner time, you know, even when they go to one of the establishments, I'm not going to give any names of any, but they're out there and having dinner. They're across and they don't even speak to each other. They go to the car and the doors are automatically open and they get in and they get out, and not hi, bye, nothing.
They don't
not
say
I
good
love
morning
you,
to the
none.
bus driver. What are your thoughts on the disconnect between the parents and the children in the community?
Absolutely agree. I've seen it with my own children where I'm so involved with them as a mom that I see the difference. You know, I don't have children that back talk me. Both my children, yeah. But, you know, and at the same time, it's a little bit of fear as far as if they disrespected me or disrespected someone, that I would definitely put them in line. But I believe sports definitely helps both my children. You know, my daughter, she did volleyball in high school, got a scholarship, she's in college. So it eats up a lot of her time and occupies her, and her scholarship is important to her, so she has to focus on school. Right. But she's naturally someone that wants to be successful. My son, the same thing, putting himself through college as a single mom, and he's working and he's paying his own way through college. And if he's not at school or at work, he's at the gym or he's at basketball. And at 23, I still know where my son is. I still require him to say hello to me. I still require him to be respectful within our household. So I think the family values and the way you raise your children are definitely important. And I'm not going to say there are things that they probably do that I don't know about, but it takes that village for people on the street to see them and let me know.
A couple of things on that. My grandmother used to say, the devil find time for idle hands. So, you know, growing up, one of 5 children, we did everything. We were in ballet, we played tennis, we played badminton, we were at music, piano lessons. I mean, when they just kept
still find time to fight each other.
We did still find time to fight each other. But I'm all about the village. Now, I am divorced, and my children spend time with me and their father. And you better believe that we co-parent, because if something is slacking or something is happening, you know, he lives 5 miles away, but in a heartbeat, between text or what have you, is like, you know, we need to strap up the bootlace on this particular thing, and he'll do the same with me, because, and if you see my pitney, I behave bad out the road. You let me, I remember walking to school one morning and somebody said good morning to me, and I didn't know who he was. So I didn't answer. By the time I reached home, my mother said, Mr. Brown, tell you good morning, and you didn't answer. I was like, well, you told me not to speak to strangers, which was considered back talking, so I did get a slap. But anyway, I agree. It does absolutely take the village. So,
in the totality of our discussion today, as we're winding down to the last few minutes, do you think, one of my first questions to ask is, do you think we could possibly, is there any route back from your point of view, because I have my point of view on this too, any route back to the village helping with the kids? Do you think it's the capability is there?
I think anything we want is possible. The neighborhood that I live in, we're fortunate enough to almost everybody have children, and almost everybody have children around the same age. and they don't hesitate to do a group chat when it's something fun that we're going to do. So, you know, if one of my neighbors a few doors down, the daughter will come over by me, I am walking her home, you know, I'm not letting her walk out there, even though it's just a couple doors down, you know, and they do the same. So I think we have a responsibility for our youth to get back to the village.
I absolutely agree. Even when your kids are out of state, like my daughter is, and I call and I text her, she said, Mom, I thought when I went to college it would be different. I was like, don't know why you thought that way, but it's definitely not different. So it's even more important when you don't have your kids in your household to keep your fingers on what they're doing and what they're involved in.
And who their friends are.
And who their friends are.
Well, you know what? Just to hear that from both of you warms my heart. Because I do see a way back. I do see a way back for this not happening again. I mean, we can't just depend on the politicians. I think they have their own agenda that they want to push forward. And if they're not with us, we are going to have to we're going to have to go to the helm and take the reins. And we're going to have to move forward with it. So I think it's us reaching out, finding out what our original family values were and the ways that we knew that worked. You know, I always believe that, you know, everything goes through ebbs and flows. Yeah, so it's cycles. And I think it's time for us to get back together again. And I'm watching the kids leave. The kids are coming back together. And they're saying, well, you know, you generation, don't worry about a thing. We're going to make sure that we're keeping in contact with each other, and we're making sure that everything is going to be all right later on. So I am proud to see that happening. I was astonished when I saw what all the children at the high school did. So right now, I just want to say that I do think that is one of the solutions that a community can do. If we're not going to have any legislation or anything that's going to move forward, at least what we could do from our standpoint is remember who our neighbors are, and remember to say hello, and remember to share a little bit. And we're going to see if we can start that with our topic here at the Caribbean Edge. We're going to see if we can get all these topics out, and we can relate them to you, and everybody share their opinion. And just remember, this is just our opinion on it, and you know.
Yeah, I think. But sorry, just one thing on the high school thing. I think legislatively, we are going to see change. I like how these high school kids reminded politicians and everybody else that they are going to be 18 one day, and they're going to vote. And not only that, the change that we want to see is what we need to become. So we need to be in these positions where we make a difference. And my personal goal with the Caribbean Edge is to do that too. Get the word out, start to make a change in our community.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of interesting topics coming up, and we're also interested in getting your input. So please like us and please share us as well. Our next topic will be Caribbean women and their hair.
Yes, and remember, any topic you want us to talk about, you can just comment in, leave a message in the comment below. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We're going to even have a LinkedIn page, and on Twitter.
And YouTube.
Yes, and
this is YouTube.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, guys, even though we're going to give them our opinion on what we think about the women, so don't feel like because. And you know the woman love take away everything and them start with them comments. But don't worry, alright? We're going to invite guests in, and we're going to have them here to give their opinions on stuff, as well as I'm not going to let down the guys at all, alright? I'm going to be real strict with these women and see what kind of bashing I get. I just, you know, remember the village, so most of you might have to help me out afterwards, okay? But that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us, and I just want everybody, as we say, thanks for tuning in to the Caribbean Edge.
See you next time.
All right, peace.